Thank you so much for everyone who has been able to join us today for the second installation of the Career Pioneers webinar series. For those of you I haven't met yet, my name is Janelle Spark, and I'm the Employer Engagement Manager for Haas, and I'm based alongside Karen in the Berkeley Career Engagement Center. Touching on the webinar from last week, I wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who joined us then and who are continuing to join us today. We'll be talking about the world of consulting and exploring some topics that some fabulous alumni have already gone through in their time, both at Berkeley and breaking into their careers. Karen, would you like to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, thank you, Janelle. Hi, everyone. My name is Karen. I work at Berkeley Career Engagement and dedicated to serve Haas undergrad students. So happy to start today's session. And then we're so honored to have two recent alum who join us to talk about consulting as the recruiting season is now. And then so today, I'm also excited to welcome them back and then hear what it looked like in their first year being a consultant. And I hope today's session is really timely for rising juniors. So yeah, let's give a warm of applause for our two guests.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Karen. Thanks for joining us today. Since I have you, and since I already started recording, would it be possible for you to share slides for this? And if not, I wanted to make sure just because I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty on my side, but should be fine in just a second. Let's see here. Okay. Karen, are you able to share the slides or would you like me to?
Do you have it at hand?
I have it. I'm just having some difficulty on my laptop.
Um,
Oh, here we go.
Starting. Okay, great.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for bearing with us as we got through that. Um, Let me move these things out of the way so I can actually see what I'm doing. So thank you again for everyone who's joining us today. Super happy to introduce you all to the world of consulting and especially breaking into consulting from the world of academia. As Karen touched on last week, for those of you who did join us then, some of the recruitment timelines really hit the ground running at the start of the fall semester, and we want to make sure that you feel as prepared as possible for when that time comes around, which is why we're super happy to introduce two Berkeley alumni, Jean Yi and Amy Hafes, both alumni who have been where you are now and are happy to talk through the steps that they took in order to be successful in their careers and help to show you what you can do in yours. So, as a brief introduction, I'd love to tell you about them both. Jean Yi is an associate at LEK Consulting, where she works on projects across the healthcare industry, including drug development, life science, diagnostics tools, and medical devices. She graduated from UC Berkeley in 2024 with degrees in molecular therapeutics and business administration through the Robinson Life Science Business and Entrepreneurship Program. Amy Hafes studied economics and minored in data science at UC Berkeley, graduating in 2024 and is now in the data and analytics practice within FTI Consulting's forensic and litigation consulting sector. She provides legal teams and companies with data-driven insights and solutions for the complex challenges that they're facing. Her work involves analyzing large, intricate data sets, and she has experience supporting clients in class action litigation and regulatory disputes. Welcome to you both, Jean and Amy. Thank you so much again for joining us today and sharing more about your career journeys. So, for everyone who's joining us, we would love to take some of your questions in the chat throughout. I won't be able to see them during the slideshow, but we will have some time at the end of the webinar for us to chat more with our panelists. So, getting right into it, if you could both please tell us um, about your journey landing in your current positions, what contributed to your success, what coursework did you take, what involvement in student clubs did you have, how did you utilize your alumni networks, as well as the career resources at UC Berkeley? And Amy, let's start with you.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a good day so far. So, to provide kind of a little bit of overview into how I landed my current position, I was applying to a lot of different places and really diversifying my interests just because I was really passionate about data and analytics, and I stumbled upon consulting specifically in data and analytics. And I actually found this role in Handshake. And I actually really encourage all UC Berkeley students to use Handshake just because it really helped me get a lot of information on the company. And also, it allowed me to find info sessions and reach out to a lot of people. And Handshake is really great at having that information. And so I think that that was a huge resource that helped me get a lot of information and connect with a lot of people at the company. And then for coursework and involvement in student clubs more specifically, I took a lot of classes that just interested me overall, both in economics and data science. I took public policy, I took industrial organization, I took environmental economics courses, and those really just helped me gain a wider understanding for my degree, but also just in how to think and how to learn and everything like that, which in my opinion is very useful for consulting. And then I was also involved in Berkeley Economic Review, and that was a really great resource to talk to a lot of people that were going into a lot of different things and just get some insights from people that were above me and had graduated and just learn about their journey and everything.
Yeah, I can go next. I pivoted into consulting pretty late. I think I started recruiting around junior spring, like around April. I was formerly pre-med and majored in biology before picking up business and double majoring. And I think what I utilized most heavily was my alumni network and peers in the biology and business program that I was part of at Berkeley. And I think because like most of my peers in that program, they had a lot of prior experience in consulting, whether it be through internships or they're in consulting clubs. So they kind of already knew what to expect going into the interviews. You're going to be if people aren't super familiar with what the recruiting process looks like for consulting, there's going to be live case interviews where your interviewer will present you with like a business problem, and you will have around 20 to 30 minutes to like break down the case and drive towards a final answer. And throughout the case, there's going to be like math problems. They might ask you for outside business knowledge. So I think just doing that practice and just kind of relying on the network that I was able to find through my business program was really helpful. Um, I will say that I don't think it's super necessary to be involved in a consulting club in order to break into consulting. I was not in a consulting club during my process of recruiting, and I was still able to kind of, I guess, like get the insider consulting knowledge just through like networking and just through like reaching out to people, whether through cold emails or warm introductions. And then also, of course, like the Career Center is a really great place to just get like an introduction to the world of consulting and other business-oriented careers like banking, finance. And then I think in terms of coursework, I would say that I don't think any of the business classes at Berkeley were super applicable to um, specifically consulting prep, but um, I think that it is important again to like just maintain good grades in all of these courses because a lot of consulting firms do kind of highly prioritize looking at like your GPA and your test scores. So just being diligent with your studies is also really important to breaking in into consulting.
Thank you both so much for that. And for those who are just joining now, just wanted to give a quick shout out to Karen, who is in Berkeley Career Engagement. She is one of the folks that you can schedule time with to talk through some of these questions that you might have around the world of consulting or breaking into your careers. I am also available if you would like to come and chat with me just about recruitment timelines, career exploration, and things of that nature. Jean mentioned that consulting was not the direct path for her, breaking in to her career. And I want to just highlight really quickly that that is totally okay. Sometimes you will be going in a direction and want to change directions, and that's okay. That's something that happens in careers. So we're going to kind of get more into some of the details of how to do that, whether moving straight forward or moving in different directions in your career. So going on to the next question. How did you navigate the transition from college to the workplace and adapt to a new way of life? And this can be for any kind of role, any kind of career. It doesn't necessarily have to just pertain to consulting. Jean, I'd love to start with you this time.
Well, yeah, for sure. I think um, my post-grad transition was probably easier than most because I ended up in San Francisco, and there's just a lot of Berkeley students who end up in San Francisco. So I think that sense of community was still there. But I think in terms of just navigating work-life balance, usually, so at LEK, I would say that on average, we work around like 50 to 55 hours a week. So Monday through Wednesday, you might be pushing until like 11 p.m. to midnight, while Thursdays, Fridays, you might have an easier day. You'd be getting off at like 6 p.m. And but then your weekends are like completely free. I think in general in consulting, you never work weekends. And I honestly find that pretty nice. I think like when I was in college, I was just like always worrying about something on the weekends, whether it be like midterms or clubs or extracurriculars. But even though maybe the intensity of the work that I'm doing now post college is a little bit higher, I would say that it is nice to just have very structured blocks where like I can just not think about work at all. So I think that definitely focused more on like just scheduling time out for things that I want to prioritize in my life. Whether it be like, I want to play tennis for like 3 hours on Sunday. That's really nice. Or like maybe on a Thursday after work, I want to go to a dance class. I think that just like, yeah, just like using, I guess like I did use calendars more in college, but I think just being a little bit more diligent with that has really been helpful in like making sure that there is a distinction between a work and my life and that work doesn't consume everything since consulting is generally a really demanding job. And I think just like in terms of just like independence, I guess like I don't have super insightful takes on this because it's only been a year out and still definitely trying to figure things out. But again, I would say that I had a softer landing than most because like SF is just basically like Berkeley 2.0.
I also ended up in San Francisco, so I can really agree with what Jean's saying about how it is a nice transition to move to San Francisco after being at Cal. I wouldn't say that it is an absolute. You can find Berkeley alumni anywhere that you go, just because we are such a large school. But it is nice to have kind of that sense of familiarity in San Francisco, I'd say. My transition from college to the workplace was, I think that it's just a transitionary period. I don't think that, there's anything negative about it. It's just about kind of giving yourself grace and understanding that you're kind of new to the corporate world. Even if you did have an internship, having a full-time job is just a little bit different. And I'd say that kind of talking to your coworkers and younger coworkers is really helpful to just kind of understand how they navigated graduating college and balancing work and life, especially in consulting, because it is a pretty demanding job. I'd also say the biggest benefit is having your weekends. I agree that when you're in school, you kind of have something looming over you every weekend and you have something coming up and you're taking time to study and everything like that. And the weekends truly are your own. And so that's something that is very enjoyable in the transition from college to the workplace is when you have free time and don't have any more work, you truly have that free time to yourself and you're able to explore a lot of hobbies that you maybe gave up a little bit in college and find new hobbies and get to explore a new city and everything like that. So it is a lot of fun post grad and everything. It's been a great time in the year that I've been here.
Awesome. Thank you both. So then, what's something cool about your current roles? And what's something that has surprised you? And that could be anything. Amy, let's start with you.
Yeah, of course. I think something that's cool about my current job is when you kind of hear consulting, I think that naturally when I was in college, my brain kind of went to more strategy and management consulting, and I am not in that in any way, shape, or form. As Janelle said, I'm in forensics and litigation consulting. And so something that I feel is really cool about my current job is I'm working with a lot of large law firms and a lot of litigation. And so I've had to really learn a lot about the legal process and where we come in and how that works. And a really cool thing is that my big manager is a expert witness, and so he will write expert reports in litigation on data science and talk about discoveries, and we help in that analysis. And so that's something that's really cool and surprised me that especially my first year, I've had the opportunity to work on two so far, and findings that I have found have ended up in these reports. And my opinion and what I think about the case and everything like that has ended up in these. And I think that that is just really unique. And I feel the impact of what I'm doing with that.
Yeah, definitely echo what Amy said. I think in consulting, it's like one of those rare industries where you can make a lot of impact as a junior in a team. Like you're like 21, 22, and what you're saying is being heard by like C-level executives at these really big Fortune 500 companies and even like partners inside your consulting firm really value your input. So I think just that level of it's like kind of empowering being able to be in this position. And you definitely get to learn a lot about the industry of your interest. So again, I was formerly pre-med at Berkeley and I studied biology. And LEK is known for having a really good brand presence in the healthcare industry. So I've been able to get a really good bird's eye view of like healthcare services, like the insurance system, medical devices, drug development. So it's honestly a really great place to be if you kind of want to, yeah, get that high level overview. And I think in terms of like what has surprised me, um, maybe this is just like coping, but I think it's not. At least for now, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I think humans can kind of just adapt to whatever situation they're in. So I know like going in to consulting, I had a lot of stress, like, oh my gosh, like working until midnight, that's like that sounds so bad and it's gonna be like so stressful. People are gonna be like yelling at me, I'm gonna be chasing deadlines all the time. But honestly, it hasn't been like super bad. Like yes, my usually my work weeks, I don't really have the opportunity to plan anything, but I think that the teams that I've worked on and my coworkers, like a lot of them are new grads, which is like a huge plus in consulting. Like you kind of go in with a cohort and it's like a new it's like a new built-in friend group. Like you can just like these are your peers and you can rely on them for help. And like when you are in the office at like 11 p.m. on a Tuesday and like your friends outside of consulting and banking, they're like out having fun, they're like drinking, they're partying, like you have that sense of like camaraderie and solidarity in the building and it really can help you get through like tough times and it's like it's just like a form of trauma bonding in my opinion. So definitely like if you do have fears about like consulting, like if consulting is something that you want to do and you think it's interesting and you want to solve cool business problems, but you are worried that you won't be able to handle the hours, like I'm just here to like say it's like it's not going to be as bad as you think, in my opinion. And you'll definitely be able to adapt and you'll definitely be able to like push through. And I think it is going to be worth it in the end. But again, might be cope. I'm still like rounding out to my 1 year mark, so my opinions, you should take them with a grain of salt.
But there is a lot to be said for really building those strong network connections and connections who become friends ultimately. So, thank you for highlighting that too, because I do think that that's an important part of breaking into your careers as well. Um, so, moving right along, what habits or skills would you recommend students start building right now to get into the consulting industry? Jean, let's start with you this time.
Yeah, I don't think there are any like particular like skills that I prioritized before like trying to break in. Like I know like I'm sure you guys all know like in consulting a lot of the work is going to be like interviewing people, making slide decks, doing Excel, but in like before you start, you will go through training programs where they will teach you all those skills. Like you will learn the Excel shortcuts, you will learn how to build a model, you will learn like the easiest ways to make decks like very visually appealing. Also, AI is at least at my firm, AI is like used very heavily. So there you can also use that as like a helping hand. So I don't think that there's anything that you need to like particularly harp on. Um, but in terms of like recruiting, I would say like getting your reps in when it comes to casing. So I think before I started like formally applying, I got around 20 to 30 cases under my belt. So I was like very comfortable with the cadence of the case, what exactly an interviewer would be looking for. I think other important things to practice for would be to just like bolster your business acumen. So if you're going in and you're saying like, oh, I'm like an expert in, or not an expert, or like, but I'm like interested in energy, or interested in like consumer, like your interviewer will look at your resume and they will see that you have a lot of experience in this industry and they will probably be expecting you to like be able to pull out outside business knowledge during a case to kind of add color or win brownie points on a case. So just being up to date on like the industry of your interests, whether reading like blog posts, news articles, to just like kind of build your knowledge of those current events will be like really helpful. Um, and then I think also just networking. Networking is honestly, I think, pretty important. Just so you can like, first of all, like bolster your own knowledge so you like understand like, oh, this is kind of what this is like what someone at Bain is like, this is what someone's experience at Bain is like. This is what like a typical Bainey is like. This is what the culture is like. So you can get an understanding of different firms. But also like, for example, in like a cover letter or an interview, you might be able to like name drop them or you might be able to get a referral. So I think just being pretty proactive with your networking and building those relationships early on will also like get you an edge in and kind of put your resume on top of the pile when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, I agree. I have to caveat that since I'm in data and analytics in a little bit of a more technical role in consulting, not to say that nothing else is technical, but do SQL and Python on a daily basis. They do not do case interviews for my team specifically at FTI Consulting, just because that is something that they don't use. They use a different casing method. And so they do take-home case studies and test your coding and your analytical skills a little bit more. So they do SQL and Python testing and things like that. And you go in through a technical interview and talk about those skills and what you did and why you did it certain ways. And so, well, it is different. Everything Jean was saying about prepping and everything is really important. Brush up, especially if you're going into more of a technical capacity. then really brush up on your SQL and your Python skills. And so those are definitely habits and skills that I built out just because I was looking more specifically at data science roles and data science targeted consulting roles. And so with that, I think that that's an important habit. And then, but other than that, those things are still really taught on the job and they put you through a whole kind of training process and everything. And I feel as though just mainly networking is really important. I think that everything that June was saying is really helpful because you know what you're kind of getting into with the company and you're able to speak on what other people have talked to you about and the experiences and just bring in that knowledge and really show an interest in the company that you want to work for and also just have a level of understanding so the interviewer doesn't have to go through a spiel of this is what we do. You can really ask more targeted questions in your interview. You can really get at the root of things and have a more robust conversation with them if you have a really good general understanding of what the company does and what you kind of want to specialize in and everything. I found that that was really helpful for me. And then I think that, PowerPoint and Excel and all those skills, they really teach you on the job. I wouldn't say that it's super important to be a master in Excel or be a master in PowerPoint. I for sure am not, or for sure was not. And so, just having a willingness to learn and really being adaptable to change is important as well.
Yeah, these are all really great takeaways. Thank you so much to you both for sharing them. And this is not one of the preordained questions, but I wanted to know if you had any sort of advice for students who are coming in at the junior level. This could be about anything. What would you share with them now?
So like advice specific for junior students?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it can be anything. It could be career related, it could be network related. What is just something that you wish you had known when you were a junior?
Um, yeah, I guess since I did like begin my consulting like recruitment process as a junior, I guess just starting things earlier. Like I don't think I really realized how early a lot of these consulting firm deadlines are. I know for LEK, like I oh, I think it's like my 2 year anniversary of applying to LEK or my first round interview of LEK. I applied in like the end of July. And I got my offer before school even started. And I think like firms like McKinsey, BCG, and Bain, their deadlines might be a little bit earlier. Um, and then for other firms, like they like again start in the fall and then they extend latest probably around December. So just like be pretty aware of how fast and how early on things are when it comes to consulting. And just like I created a spreadsheet and I just tracked all the firms that I applied to. I tracked when their application opened, who do I know from each firm, the link to their application portal, and like everything I knew about their like casing process to kind of just keep things organized. So I would really recommend just first of all, just being super aware of deadlines and then also like maybe creating a spreadsheet to keep things organized. Um, I think something else that um, would probably be helpful is, oh, I had a thought and then I just completely blanked on it. And I'll let you guys know when it comes back. But yeah, I think like just keeping things organized and then just really being on top of the deadlines because I remember now. I remember now. I think consulting is like a pretty volatile industry. So a lot of my friends actually like they had their consulting offers and then the offers like either got like pushed back and I or like in like a really really rare case their offer got rescinded. So I would say that like maybe not don't stop at the first offer that you have in hand. Like maybe just have like a couple of like backups, like just like keep recruiting so you kind of have like like a landing pad in case things do go awry. Because yeah, like consulting is not insulated from the macroeconomy at all. Like we're probably like the first, we're professional services, so we're probably the first to be impacted when really big administrative changes happen. So just yeah, like maybe like keep going when it comes to recruiting and just have like a softer landing pad when you are in the midst of the process.
I also agree with being super organized. I think what really helped me is I too had a spreadsheet of just everywhere that I was applying. And I have to say that I started recruiting in the fall of my senior year. So I definitely was much more late to the kind of, I will say, consulting game for lack of better terms. But I definitely had missed the deadlines for a lot of the big four and the bigger firms. And so while that was a bit of a negative, I think that, I agree, just starting as early as possible so you have as many opportunities as possible to test your interview skills, build out your resume, build out your cover letter, and just really kind of get a lot of practice under your belt. I think that what's really helpful is just even if you're not sure about a place or even if you're not, super confident or you think you might be in over your head, whether that is in a consulting role or if, I was applying to a lot of other different positions, I always was just applying and seeing and putting myself out there because I think you never know what is really going to happen. And so just applying as much as possible and getting a lot of interview practice is what I felt would be super useful. Practice with your peers, practice with, people above you, alumni, and anyone that kind of will help you build out how you can talk about yourself, talk about your resume, and kind of expand on that knowledge, I think is a really helpful thing. I wish that I had started sooner on interview prep and everything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to you both for providing this extra color on kind of what the process has looked like for you, what things you wish you had known as a junior coming into school. Um, those are all the questions that I had for right now. So before transitioning into questions from the audience, and for the sake of the recording, I just wanted to highlight that for the next webinar, we'll also be speaking with someone who has experience in each of the following companies. For that webinar, we'll be focusing on the world of finance. So for everyone who's watching this later on, just so you are aware of that. To each of our panelists for today, thank you so much again for spending the time with our current students and sharing all of your insights of breaking into the world of consulting. Super, super relevant and super helpful for everyone who is just now considering and starting to explore the industry. And with that, I'll go ahead and stop the recording. Let's see. We will stop there.